This one's interesting. Ryan Tannehill could get cut. He was sort of getting phased out of Tennessee last year. He's going to be extremely expensive if they cut him, if they keep him.
Right.
Ryan Tannehill's interesting. You could probably get him for a 1-year deal, maybe. He'd probably be more expensive than Trey Lance. He's been in a play action offense. He's been in a run first offense. He seems kind of like Kyle Shanahan's he's a little like Kirk Cousins.
Right.
He's a little Kirk Cousins-y.
He's a Kirky. He's a little Kirky.
He's a little Kirky.
He's a little Kirky.
Is this the move up the Niners sleeve that no one's talking about?
I would say no, because Ryan Tannehill has starter reps left in him, right? In my opinion. And because of that, I feel like Ryan Tannehill is almost kind of like a mid version of what we would think Trey would be, right? If Trey never really, if the curl never really,
That's true. Yeah.
So the fit makes sense, right? As far as, especially with what we were trying to do with Trey, but I feel like playing Ryan Tannehill in front of Trey, you would have to play him in front of Trey. He wouldn't come here to be a backup.
Exactly.
Right? Exactly. So again, it
would be relegating Trey. You'd be paying him more than Trey.
We keep going with this circular logic. We keep circling around this. No matter what scenario we come up with, no matter what hypothetical, what if any player, if Trey Lance does not start as the quarterback for the 49ers for the 2023-24 season, this is a failure. I'm sorry. That's it.
That's
full stop.
Sure.
Because bringing in Ryan Tannehill is bringing in a budget Trey Lance.
It's true. But let me ask you, do you think they win the Super Bowl if they bring in Ryan Tannehill at $13 million for 1 year?
I'm not prepared to talk about the Super Bowl at all. We got one quarterback on contract, one that has half of an elbow, and we're currently looking for a pseudo backup / starter. So no, I'm not ready to talk about this.
Not to mention the starting center.
You know what?
Starting right tackle. Yeah.
Anybody that's talking about the Super Bowl has not closed about who we truly are. We need to move on into this year and understand that we're a new team and we don't know what we'll be. But talking about the Super Bowl is a bad start. It's a bad start.
All I'm saying is I don't trust a word Kyle Shanahan says in press conferences anymore. Not about injuries, nothing. And so when he says that he thinks Trey Lance is a starter, I don't know that he feels that. So if he goes after and gets a starting quarterback this year, I wouldn't be surprised. I just wouldn't. I don't know where he's coming from.
I wouldn't be surprised. First of all, we never know what they're doing. I've given up on trying to put the tea leaves up to what they're doing. But I feel like you don't put that much into a guy. Like, all right, forget the draft, right? The cap, it's almost over. He's been here 3 years, right? Those picks are coming back. But the man hours, man, it takes a lot to get a quarterback ready. And for you to be fictitiously doing that all this time says a lot, man. Because you can't, as a coach, you want to put that on the field. I have to see. But if what you've done thus far is making you feel as though that you can't put him on the field at all, like you're ready to just cut bait without even giving him a full season, then you knew he wasn't ready. You knew he wasn't the guy to begin with.
So hold on. I think one of the things that we do when we have this conversation, all of us, why did Kyle Shanahan change? Did Kyle Shanahan change his mind about Trey? What did Kyle have a change of heart? That's not necessarily how Kyle works. All right. It's not, he doesn't just make decisions on his own. He gets input. He takes feedback. There's a group of players on the team that are essentially friends with him.
Brain trust.
So is it him or was it him and Juszczyk and Kittle and whoever the group is a significant section of the veterans on the team just against that project? And is Kyle just going to be like, you know what? I'm not going to fight that. I'm not going to fight it. Sorry.
This is what worries me about the dynamics of our team. how do you party and drink and vacation with your coach, but not talk to him about who you want to play as quarterback?
Of course you do.
Of course you do.
Of course you do.
Of course
Yeah.
you do.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And that right there worries.
Kyle shouldn't even invite that conversation. That's none of their business. He
None
shouldn't
of your
even invite
business.
that. None of your business. I'll make the decision. You'll play. That's my job. You do your job. End of story.
Yeah, but how do you
Yeah.
say that? How do you say that with sand in between your toes and
You
a Mai
don't.
Tai?
You don't. You already blurred that line.
Yeah.
So hey George, Kyle, Debo, Trent, Christian, let's talk about what we're gonna do at quarterback next year. Oh, I don't want Trey. Oh, 5 of you don't want Trey? Well, okay, there you go. Well, it's a democratic process.
I feel like strong locker room is dog whistle for toxic environment.
I know what you mean. Because who's leading? Who's leading? Sometimes it feels like
Is the
Kittle's
tail
leading.
wagging the dog?
It feels like the tail is wagging the dog on this team. And
Yeah.
since the Niners keep, winning divisions, no one really cares. But eventually, if they don't win a Super Bowl, these will be the reasons why.
Yeah.
Team's
Famous
too good.
losses.
Famous losses. Dude, George Kittle singing at the NFL honors is going to be how I remember him the rest of his career unless he wins a championship. That is my lasting image of George Kittle. What?
Well,
is
I
that?
mean, at some point, our identity, it got to be in us and not on us. And I feel like we did a lot of work on producing who we are for an identity as a team. And we're really excited that everybody believes us now because we get close. We get close.
It's true. Let me bring it back to the beginning of this topic, and then we'll move on with Tannehill. I feel that Kyle might be concerned about having another 2020 where quarterback goes down, Trey, and there's no one left, and you're going through a season with a backup, and you don't make the playoffs. And I wonder if the fan base would give him the injury excuse yet again in year 7. If he missed the playoffs, he might feel, man, if Brock isn't around and Trey is my only starter, like we could be in a bad season. And not just if Trey's bad, but if I get Trey hurt. So they might get desperate and bring in a guy like Tannehill just to ensure, just for the same reason they brought back Jimmy last year, except paying more.
Well, styles make fights, man. And I feel as though that when we talk about the good that the Niners do, ergo our coaching staff, we generalize. This is one of the best offenses in the league. This is one of the best teams in the league. No team has gone to the NFC Championship game. This is the third championship game in 5 whatever years. It's always like this skewed, generalized, you can't really attack this narrative, right?
Right.
But
yeah,
they're
not champions, but they're as good as you could possibly be without being champions.
If Kyle Shanahan gets fired today, he's hired yesterday. Like all of that stuff. But if you look at the context of what somebody can do, what they're capable of, and what they produce, then you have to hold them on that standard. And our standard is that we keep losing big games. And I feel like we got to keep the main thing. Like we can't generalize when we just want to explain away what our specific issues are as a franchise. And our problem is that we can't keep quarterbacks healthy and we lose in big games. And we also have a quarterback that we need to put on the field by hook or crook. And that's what needs to happen.
Dude, the Niners have been having a tough time keeping quarterbacks healthy since freaking Aeneas Williams laid out Steve Young when I was in 6th grade, man. Like, this has been an issue for the Niners since the 90s, since the late 90s. They gotta... It's crazy because they showed the league that how quarterback driven it really is. This is the Niners showed it. It's not about the running; it's about the quarterback. That's it. And the Niners for the last 25 years have been trying to make the quarterback just a piece of the pie. Like, nah, man, it's not. It's everything.
And we talked about this, bro. Like we talked about the last time we talked about before the Super Bowl. We said that this Super Bowl was going to be an indictment on how teams are going to build their franchises. Are they going to go for the cheap quarterback with the loaded roster, or do they have to find a unicorn? Do they got to go get that guy? And we saw who won.
You got to go get that. You got to go get that.
You got to go get that guy.
You got to go get that guy. I like the idea, and I think the Niners are into that idea that, hey, you can actually win with average quarterback play. No, you can't.
You can't.
I don't care how cheap
Because
he
you
is. I
know
don't care
what?
how good your team is. Nope, you
For
can't.
as great as Jalen played, he played the best game of his life. That fumble killed him.
Patrick Mahomes
That's
didn't
what
do it.
killed him.
Yeah, Mahomes didn't fumble. He was flawless. Hurts
No
was
sacks,
yeah. Hurts was great, but he wasn't flawless. And you got to
but he
be
wasn't
flawless.
flawless.
You got to be flawless to beat Mahomes. Yeah.
Yeah.